Welcome everyone to our Sporlan Experts webinar on the Sporlan S3C Tech Check app. We're thrilled to have you join us today as we explore how this innovative tool can transform the management of refrigeration equipment. As we go through the presentation, the chat function will be disabled, so communication will be through the Q&A screen only. We encourage you to submit your questions there, and we'll address them during the designated Q&A segments. Before we dive in, I'd like to introduce our presenters. Matt Wood, our Applications Engineering Manager, will guide us through the app's features and benefits. Matt has a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from the University of Missouri Science and Technology. We're also joined by Adam Hughes, who will share insights into the application features that our customers have been eagerly awaiting. Adam's currently our Product Manager for Electronic Controls. He also holds a BS in Mechanical Engineering from Missouri University of Science and Technology, plus an MBA from Webster. Additionally, all participants will receive a follow-up email after the webinar containing the resources and materials presented today. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So before we get started here, just want to mention and remind everyone that the Sporlan division of Parker Hannifin has a full line of industrial and commercial refrigeration controls and components. So we have standalone components for small installations as well as full store control capabilities. There's also the microthermo product line. So please ask your Sporlan salesperson about microthermo products, or you can also visit microthermo.com for additional information. So today's webinar, we're going to talk about the Tech Check app for the S3C case controller. And we're going to focus on three main parts: how to get set up with the app, how to download it, how to install it, and then how to get connected to controllers. And then once you're connected, how to go through some of the menus and what that looks like. And then one other thing before we get started, we want everyone to be aware of the S3C tech support availability. So we have S3C tech support available Monday through Friday from 12 a.m. midnight to 5 p.m. Eastern time. And then the contact phone number and email for the tech support team is shown on the screen there as well. You'll notice the email is mtsupport@parker.com. So Matt, why is it MT support when this is a Sporlan case controller?
It's a great question, and we do have multiple tech support call-in numbers and email addresses. So for our legacy Sporlan products, that would be mostly our valves and components. You would call in to a different number and you would email svdtechsupport@parker.com. But for our S3C and microthermo controls products, we handle those through the contact information that you have here through this phone number, this email. And if you email or call that phone number, you'll get in a ticket system and get a call back. So you would get a call back from this number versus the legacy side. You know, we have people manning those phones and you call and get in line and talk to someone right away.
Got it. Thanks. And then as John said at the beginning, if you have any questions as we go, please enter those into the Q&A chat section. And then we'll try to get to as many of those as we can at the end. Anything we don't get to, we will answer in an email.
So now we're going to go over getting started with the S3C Tech Check app. So we'll review a few of the steps that you're going to need to take. First, you're going to need to download the Tech Check app from the relevant app store, whether it's Android or iOS. You'll register your account. And once you've registered, you'll get a verification email to make sure that it's really your email. Make sure that it's the right contact information. Once you have that, you'll be able to request S3C access when you log into the app. So you'll log in, you'll now be logged into your app with your credentials, but you'll still need to request access. And after that, you'll need to register for training. And our training portal is now the Parker Learning Institute, which people aren't as familiar with. They've used Chill Skills before, but you're going to talk about Parker Learning Institute a little bit, right?
Yeah, we'll get into that a little more later, but the Parker Learning Institute is a Parker Hannifin Corporation-wide learning portal. So all divisions of Parker Hannifin have something on that site to educate people on all of Parker's products. And so the S3C and all of our training related to that have been moved over to that Parker Learning Institute webpage.
All right, great. It'll be good to hear more about that. And then lastly, you'll want to complete that training so you can get permanent access to the S3C. So one of the features that we consider a feature of the Tech Check app is that we require you to complete a training class on that Parker Learning Institute portal so that you can get permanent access. If you haven't completed that training class, sometimes you'll get a temporary access. So if you've requested access to the S3C, we'll go through and see that and give you, 7-day access, and you'll get an email that'll remind you, hey, you only have temporary access. So you want to complete that training so you don't have to go through those steps and see, oh, I don't have access right now because I never completed the training. And that's for the technician's benefit to know that they've gone through the training, they know how to use the tools and know what power it has.
So the first thing you're going to want to do is download the TechCheck app. So if you have an Apple device, you'll go to the Apple App Store. If you have an Android device, you go to the Google Play Store. Once you're in either of those app stores, if you just search for Sporlan TechCheck, and then you look for the logo we're showing on the screen on the right there, that's going to be your Sporlan TechCheck app, and just download it. So we've had the iOS version of the TechCheck app available for quite some time, but a new and improved version of the Android app was just released. So it has nearly all the same features as the iOS version, same menu structures, but each screen layout may be slightly different. So there's a couple screenshots of it there for you as an example.
So your next step is going to be to create an account. So now that you've downloaded the app, you'll open it and it'll take you to a screen. They'll give you the option to log in or register for an account. So if you're a new user, you'll register, put in the credentials, the email, and your password and some information there. And it'll tell you, thank you for registering. And then you'll get a verification email to whatever email that you've used to sign up. You'll need to confirm your account in that email. It'll give you a green check mark and say, all right, you've been verified. Now you can go back into the app and use your credentials to log in. So now you're officially logged into the app, but you still need to take some other steps. You're going to need to request S3C access and do a few other steps that we're going to get to on the next slide.
Okay, so once you have the app downloaded and set up, you're going to click on the main screen of the app. As soon as you open it, there's going to be a gear icon in the top right-hand corner. You're going to click that, and then you'll have the option to click Request Access to the S3C controller. So once you do that, then you want to get set up in that Parker Learning Institute that I mentioned earlier. So our S3C Chill Skills site, that's migrated over to Parker PLI. So if you just simply go to sporlantraining.com, that's going to redirect you to the webpage that we're showing on the right-hand side of the screen. That is a page with all the instructions you need to sign up for a free PLI account, and how to access the S3C training. So once you get a PLA account set up, this is kind of what it's going to look like when you log in. And so the easiest way to find the S3C training is simply just to type in S3C in the top right search bar. So that's going to bring up the training module shown below, and then you'll just take the training. So the training is about a 90-minute video, and then at the end, there's a 20-question quiz, and you need to get a score of 75% or better to pass. So once you do that, then you'll be granted S3C connection permissions with the TechCheck app. If you've done all that and you don't get access given to you within 48 hours, please email mtsupport@parker.com and then tell them you completed this and you need access.
So now we're going to go over how you use that app to connect to the S3C case controller. And the process is simple. You're going to open the app on your smart device, and you're going to approach whatever case that you are wanting to connect to and look for the remote display. This will be just usually somewhere prominently featured that you're able to see easily. Once you find the display for the right case, and an important step is that you make sure that display is for the case that you want to connect to. Sometimes people connect to the display and think it's for a certain case and it's for a different one. So make sure it's the right display. You'll hold down the right down button for 5 seconds. Once it has registered that you've made that button push and held for 5 seconds, the remote connectivity icon will flash. Flashing means that the connection process has started. And then the icon will stay lit once the connection process is completed. And as you can see, the display on the left right there that shows the TechCheck app screen right now says no controllers, but a controller will pop up, and you'll see that on the next screen once it's made connection.
Yeah, so once you've got at least one controller that their app is recognized, you're going to get a controller inventory like we're showing on the left-hand side. So that's going to show any controllers that are available to connect to within range or that you currently are connected to. From there, you just click on whichever controller you want to interact with. So if you click on the top one, for example, then you're going to get taken to what's called the current values screen that we're showing on the right. So the current values screen is a quick overview of what's happening with that case controller. So it's telling you if you're in refrigeration mode or defrost, the status of all of your relays. So like if the liquid line solenoid is open or closed, if the lights are on or off, if the defrost relay is energized, all that good stuff. If you have any stepper or pulse valves attached to the controller, then your EEV percent and your EPR percent could be shown there. And then you have all of your temp and pressure readings shown as well. So there's a lot of acronyms there on that screen you can see for the temperatures and pressures like DAT and SH and SP. If you're not sure what those all mean, you can click on the information button, the little blue circle with the white eye, and that's going to bring up a legend that tells you what all those things mean. So DAT is discharge air temperature. That's the air coming out of that honeycomb or off of the evaporator. SH is your superheat. And superheat, that's calculated using a temperature and a pressure. So SP is your suction pressure that gets used for superheat calculation. And then going down a couple, you have COT, coil outlet temp. That's that temp sensor at the outlet of the evaporator that gets used in that superheat calculation. So that's your key to kind of tell you what all those things mean. Then you have the number itself. So the value, like the discharge air 34, it shows on the screen. You can actually click right there and it's going to bring up a graph of that sensor. So here's an example of a graph screen. It's going to actually pull data off of that S3C controller. Up to 2 weeks of data gets stored locally on each controller. So it can pull all that and show it on your phone screen really easily. There's some tools where you can actually add extra graphs, so you can put more than one sensor on the screen at once. You can use the time scale buttons at the bottom you can see there to look at just a few hours or several days of data all at once. And then you could do your typical, drag your finger across the screen and pinch to zoom and all that good stuff to navigate that graph.
It's a really powerful graph, really powerful tool to investigate what's going on with your system with that case right there, right? You have that at the tip of your finger that you can now investigate what different sensors are seeing, what different valves are doing. And once you've gone from that current value screen and gotten all the information you feel you need from there, a logical next step to go is investigate your case alarms. And on that current value screen, you'll have your case alarms available in the upper right-hand corner. That little alarm bell is where you tap. You'll see a little red dot that'll usually show the number of active alarms you have. Once you tap that, you'll get the option to look at active current alarms or alarm history. So a really good practice is to look at your active alarms and see what the case controller, the S3C, is trying to tell you about the case. So in this case, it's saying that there is an issue with the transducer. It's a good practice to look at all those alarms, evaluate them, see if any of them look like that doesn't look like it's related to what you're dealing with, and then go investigate further the parameters related to those alarms, whether it's a superheat alarm or in this case, transducer alarm. So once you're satisfied there, you can navigate back out of that alarm menu, back to the current values menu, and go to the upper left-hand corner where you'll see your options menu. And you have those 3 dots, you can tap on that and it'll bring up the next screen. So here in the options menu, we've got all of the different options you can tap into to take further action. At the top, you'll see update firmware. So with a adapter cable, Ethernet to either USB-C or Lightning, you can update firmware on a case controller. So you can see right here, the package file, you would have that with the with the app that you've downloaded, and you can proceed to update firmware on the case if that's necessary. Below that, you'll have a functional performance test option. That's something that's not frequently done through the app, but you have the ability on a case to run a functional performance test. It'll run valves through some different paces, make sure that the pressure transducers are seeing changes and everything is doing what we expect it to do. And then you'll get results that'll tell you if everything looks like it's operating correctly or where you look like you might have an issue. There's debug logs. That's mainly a function internally for Sporlan, the Sporlan team, to make sure that the app is still working properly. After that, we have data log requests. So as you pointed out earlier, from the current value screen, you can get to a graphing screen. But if I wanted to interact with that data later, this would be a good way to do that, right?
Yeah, so the data log request, I think, would be if you wanted to do more in-depth analysis with the data, you wanted to get it on your computer and open it in Excel, do all kinds of crazy stuff with it, right?
Correct. Yeah, so I can select the different points that I'd like to log here, and I could send that via email, and it'll give me an option not only to generate and export the CSV, but also to send it somewhere, so I can send that to my own email or maybe to my supervisor's email, or maybe to offsite support that's going to help parse through that while I'm on site working, and they can help me get some idea of what I'm looking at. So that's a really good tool. After that, we have the parameters screen, which gives you all the parameters that are programmed into the case controller. You have access to view those primarily. Some of those, there is the ability to change and modify, but as a best practice, and it's really up to the end user supermarket to decide what could be writable there and what's not. And so generally you would have to go through some sort of formal approval process from the end user to change those parameters, right?
Yeah, so some customers, you may be able to go to the parameters screen and just change whatever you want, and some you may not be able to change anything or anywhere in between. So, but if you do need to change a value, that's the screen you would do it at, is the parameters. That's where you would change your air temp set point, your superheat target, things like that.
Excellent. And then after that, we have our overrides, which is another really good tool. And I'll let you talk about that one.
Yeah, so overrides, it's, pretty simple. It's a really good troubleshooting tool though. So it lets you just manually turn on or off any of the relays on the S3C. So like your liquid line solenoid relay, your fans, your lights, your defrost. You can override stepper valves to certain positions. So you could tell the EPR to sit at 50%. You could tell the stepper expansion valve to go to 100% if you wanted to. You also, if you were to override, let's say you're using a pulse expansion valve and you do an override of 50%, then it's going to just sit there and have a 50% duty cycle. So standard duty cycle is 6 seconds. So it would go 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off, 3 seconds on, 3 seconds off until you're done with the override. And I think when you apply overrides, there's a timeout too. I think it's a 10-minute timeout, right?
I think you're correct. And it's a good feature to make sure that, there's no risk that you're going to leave something overridden and cause a long-term issue.
Yep. And then the last piece we want to talk about is the remote support functionality. So like we mentioned at the beginning of this, we have a tech support team to assist remotely with the S3C. They can help on the phone or answer email questions, but we can also do a remote support session. So to do that, you want to disconnect from any S3Cs you might be connected to on the app, and then you want to call tech support first. And we'll show that number again in a minute, but that number is also under the information button on the app as well. The phone number is listed there. So then once you call them, you can tell the team that you need a remote support, you need a remote session, and then they will get it set up. And then they're going to instruct you to go and click the remote support button that's kind of shown on the middle screenshot, and then the remote session will start from there. During the remote session, our technician is able to see whatever you're seeing on your phone screen. So whatever screen of the app you have open is exactly what we see. So then there's no telephone game. There's no confusion about what the app is seeing off of the controller.
We can help navigate, like you just said, so we can help navigate the app and say, oh, you're looking at this screen. You need to tap the button in the upper right-hand corner. And also that ability to view the screen is limited just to the TechCheck app. So if you're in a remote support session and then you navigate over to your text messages on your phone, we won't have any visibility to this. It's only with our Tech Check app that we have visibility to, right?
Just the app, yeah. Yep, that's all that we can see. Okay. So that's everything covering the S3C Tech Check app. Thank you everyone for watching. As a reminder, here's our tech support contact information again. Again, it's Monday through Friday, midnight to 5 p.m. Eastern. Phone and email are there. They will get back to you as soon as possible if it's after those hours. So, okay. So now we'll take any questions that we got. We got any on the Q&A? We have.
Yeah, I see one question. Is this going to be recorded? So yes, we've recorded it. And I think John will give some instructions about how to access those. And I don't think I see any other questions. So that makes it a little short, but I think successful. And look for other, good content on our website about the Tech Check app and about the S3C controller.
Great, thanks, guys. So thank you all for joining us today for our webinar on the Sporlan S3C Tech Check app. We hope you found this information valuable. A special thank you to our presenters, Matt Wood and Adam Hughes, for sharing their expertise and insights. Remember, you'll be receiving 2 follow-up emails with the resources discussed today, so keep an eye on your inbox. We appreciate your participation and engagement. If you enjoyed this session, we invite you to join us for our next webinar, where we'll dive deeper into the future of A2Ls and a guide to making the transition to the new refrigerants. Stay tuned to our social media channel for the announcement and registration information. This session was recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel, where you can also view our video shorts and training videos. Thank you once again, and have a great day.